50 Cent just woke up something in King Harris that had the entire internet frozen. Not laughing, not debating, frozen. King didn't tweet, he didn't sub, he didn't drop a caption, he went live, and he went nuclear.
I want to say something about my mama. Your mama dead as Your mama dead as Go dig her up. Go dig her up.
You want to say something about my mama? Your mama dead. Go dig her up. And just like that, the temperature in hip-hop changed, because there are certain things you can say in rap. You can clown a man's album sales. You can joke about his fashion. You can even question his street credibility. That's regular, that's culture. But there has always been one unwritten rule, one line that even the most disrespectful rappers understood. You do not bring family into it, especially somebody's mother. And on February 22nd, when 50 Cent posted an unflattering picture of Tiny Harris on Instagram, that rule got shattered. Now let's rewind for a second. 50 and T.I. had been going back and forth for weeks. Versus talk, snitch allegation, slick comments in interviews, regular rap tension, two grown men throwing jabs, nothing we haven't seen before. But when 50 posted Tiny, not T.I., Tiny, and basically told her to stay out of grown folks' business in front of millions of followers, that's when it stopped being competitive. That's when it became disrespectful. And King Harris saw it. And he didn't wait for his father to respond. He didn't wait for a PR strategy. He didn't wait for a phone call. He opened Instagram Live and let raw emotion take over. Post your mama. She dead. Go dig her up. That wasn't a bar. That wasn't calculated. That was fury. And here's why that line hit so heavy. 50 Cent's mother passed away when he was just a child. That loss shaped everything about who he became. It's not just personal history, it's trauma. And King aimed straight at it. No hesitation. Then he doubled down. Your son don't love you. You rich, but you not loved.
Straight like that. Your son don't love you. You don't got no family.
Now it wasn't just about a post anymore. It wasn't just about Tiny. King took shots at 50's relationship with his own son, something the public has watched unravel for years. And in that moment, this stopped being rap beef. It became psychological warfare. King wasn't trying to win a versus. He wasn't trying to trend. He was trying to defend his mother's name. And whether you agree with how he did it or not, the emotion was real. You could hear it in his voice. No script, no ghostwriter, just anger. But here's the part nobody was ready for. When you bring up someone's deceased parent, there's no clean reset. No handshake at the next award show. No, it was just for promo. You can clown music, you can clown money, but once dead family members enter the conversation, something shifts. And that shift, that's what set the stage for what happened next. Because while King thought he was defending his mother, he had just stepped into a war with one of the most strategic trolls in hip-hop history, and someone else was watching all of this unfold. Someone who knows exactly what happens when emotions override strategy. And when he finally spoke, it changed the entire direction of this beef. But before that voice entered the picture, King made one more move that took this situation even further. And that's where things really escalated. If you thought that Instagram Live was just a heated moment, it wasn't. It was a warning shot. Because 2 days later, King Harris didn't calm down. He went to the studio. On February 24th, King dropped a full diss track titled Made Man. This wasn't just social media rage anymore. This was calculated. The video, shot in a parking garage, foreign cars lined up, red hoodie, direct eye contact with the camera, no comedy, no trolling, just smoke. And the message was simple. You play with my mother's name, I'm coming back harder. He rapped about respect. He rapped about loyalty. He rapped like somebody trying to prove something, not just to 50, but to the entire culture. And then he did something even riskier. He reposted an old controversial image of 50 Cent, one that had floated around the internet before, and made sure people knew it wasn't AI. Now understand something. That move wasn't about winning lyrically. That was humiliation strategy. That was, if you embarrass my family, I'll embarrass you. At this point, the internet split instantly. Some people said King was standing on business. Others said he was crashing out. Because here's the reality nobody could ignore. King Harris is 21 years old. 50 Cent is a billionaire mogul with decades of experience destroying people publicly. This isn't just a rap veteran. This is someone who turned trolling into an art form. He's dismantled careers before. He doesn't argue emotionally. He waits. He posts one meme, and suddenly you look crazy. So when King kept doubling down, going live again, repeating the same energy, making it clear he had zero regrets, The tension wasn't just about disrespect anymore, it was about consequences. Because 50 didn't respond the way people expected. He didn't drop a diss, he didn't go live yelling, he didn't spiral, he went quiet. And when 50 Cent goes quiet, that usually means he's calculating. Meanwhile, T.I. wasn't sitting back either. Instead of social media rants, he did what rappers are supposed to do. He went to the booth to diss records back to back, aggressive, direct, no sugarcoating. So now, this wasn't just father and son reacting emotionally, it was turning into a layered war. King attacking personally, T.I. attacking musically, 50 playing chess quietly, and the culture was watching like it was a pay-per-view event. Clips everywhere, reaction channels everywhere, podcasts debating who crossed the line first. But underneath all of that noise, there was one uncomfortable truth sitting in the middle of everything. Dead mothers had been mentioned, and that changes the energy. Because once that line is crossed, nobody feels safe anymore. Not reputationally, not emotionally, and definitely not publicly. But just when it looked like this was going to stay between the Harris family and 50 Cent, a third voice entered the conversation. Not a blogger, not a podcaster. Someone who's lived real consequences. Someone who understands what happens when pride moves faster than logic. And when he spoke, it wasn't entertainment, it was a warning. And that's where this situation took another turn. When something like this happens in hip-hop, everybody talks. Bloggers talk. Reaction channels talk. Fans argue in comment sections. But when Boosie Badazz speaks, people listen differently. Because Boosie isn't an internet personality. He's lived consequences. He's done real time. He understands what happens when pride and emotion start steering the wheel. So when he addressed the situation between 50 Cent and King Harris, the culture leaned in. And the first thing he did surprised people. He didn't attack King. He didn't call him dumb. He said something simple. You gotta understand where King coming from. That's his mama. And that right there mattered. Because no matter how messy rap beef gets, a mother is sacred in most households. Boosie made it clear, and when 50 posted Tiny, that wasn't regular rap trolling. That was personal. That was family territory. And when you enter family territory, the rules change. But then Boosie shifted his tone. Because while he understood the emotion, he couldn't co-sign the execution. He repeated King's words about digging up a grave. And you could hear it in his voice. Even for someone who said wild things in his career, that hit heavy. He basically said, once you bring up somebody's deceased parent, you crossing a line that's hard to come back from. And that line wasn't about music, it wasn't about bars, it was about something deeper. Because in Boosie's mind, once that kind of disrespect is on the table, it doesn't end with tweets. It doesn't end with diss tracks. It can escalate into real world consequences. And that's when he gave the warning that made people uncomfortable. He said, King needs to be careful. Not because 50 will out-rap him, not because 50 will out-troll him, but because emotional decisions can lead to permanent outcomes. Boosie even brought up his own son, saying reckless behavior leads to locked doors and prison walls. That wasn't commentary. That was lived experience speaking. And then he said something else that shifted the whole perspective. He pointed out the mismatch. You've got a 21-year-old trying to go bar for bar, energy for energy, with a billionaire who has been mastering psychological warfare for 20 years. That's not an equal battlefield. 50 doesn't have to yell. He doesn't have to threaten. He just has to wait for you to make yourself look unstable. That's been his blueprint since the early 2000s. Boosie also didn't let 50 off the hook either. He made it clear. 50 lit the match. Posting Tiny was unnecessary. Dragging a wife into it was unnecessary. He called 50 a longtime internet menace. But he still drew a hard boundary. There's trolling, and then there's telling a man to dig up his mother. And in Boosie's eyes, once that sentence was said out loud, the beef moved into dangerous territory. And here's where it got even messier. Because Boosie's own camp got pulled in. Indirect shots, side comments. Now it wasn't just 50 versus the Harris family, it was branches growing everywhere. The situation was expanding. And at this point, the question wasn't who's winning, the question was, how far is this going to go? Because when someone like Boosie, who understands both the streets and the industry, says the line has been crossed, that's not drama. That's a red flag. And while everyone was debating who started it and who went too far, there was still one major piece of this story people needed to understand. This didn't start with a random Instagram post. This tension had been building for years, for Zoo's challenges, snitch allegations, public interviews. And once you understand that backstory, the explosion makes a lot more sense. If you're watching all this unfold and wondering how a Versus conversation turned into dead parent insults, you're not alone. Because this didn't start last week. This tension between T.I. and 50 Cent has been simmering for years. It started with Versus. Back when the platform was dominating culture during the pandemic, T.I. publicly challenged 50 to a catalog battle. Not once, not twice, multiple times. T.I. believed his resume could stand next to anyone's. Southern classics, Billboard records, cultural impact, but every time the challenge came up, 50 didn't engage musically. He trolled. He reposted old footage. He brought up snitch allegations. He flipped the conversation away from music and toward character. That became the pattern. T.I. would say, "Let's go, hit for hit." 50 would respond with, "Keep my name out your mouth." Different energies, different strategies, and over time, that tension never really cooled. It just stayed there, waiting. Then recently, T.I. said publicly that he had lost respect for 50 over the way things were handled. That comment hit different because respect is currency in hip-hop, and 50 has built his entire brand around dominance and image control. So when he responded this time, he didn't go at T.I.'s catalog, he went at his household, he posted Tiny, and that's when everything detonated. Now the culture split in half. Some people blamed 50 for lighting the fuse, some blamed King for throwing gasoline on it. Podcast hosts debated whether family should ever be touched in rap beef. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds. Even respected voices in the culture admitted the same thing. Once deceased parents get mentioned, it's no longer competitive. It's emotional, and emotional beef is unpredictable. Meanwhile, something interesting happened behind the scenes. 50 quietly started removing T.I. related content from his page. No announcement, no explanation, just deletion. Some people saw that as strategy, others saw it as backtracking. But either way, it signaled something. Even 50 understood the temperature was different now. This wasn't playful trolling anymore, and now here we are. King's diss track circulating, T.I. previewing more music, 50 calculating silently, Boosie issuing warnings, and the entire hip-hop world watching like it's episodic television. But here's the real question nobody can answer yet. What does winning even look like in this situation? Is it more views, more streams, more viral moments? Because once a mother's grave gets mentioned, there's no trophy for that. There's no clean ending, no friendly photo op down the line. That kind of disrespect lingers. And in hip-hop culture, lines get crossed all the time. But there are certain lines that permanently change how people see you, not just as an artist, but as a man. And that's where this stands right now. Not resolved, not squashed, not escalated further yet, just tense. Because when pride, legacy, family, and ego all collide, it doesn't end quietly. And the next move, that's what everybody's waiting on.